Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. I am live once again, 3 times in a row, people. I'm going for 5. I'm going to go live tomorrow. And you know I'm going live Saturday for the Four Kings. Okay. And that should be interesting. Things are getting a little fired up. David Benavidez, he's doing his thing. And I think what happens, even if people respect each other, it's just the testosterone, the anticipation that you're going to go toe to toe. And I do think that it's going to get a little bit more physical Friday before it explodes Saturday. So I look forward to that. I look forward to David Benavidez versus Anthony Yard. And you know one thing, though, a lot of people think that Anthony Yard may expose David, and we'll see, because remember, David has yet to get a knockout at 175. But nonetheless, we got 2 days to talk about that before we witness, hopefully, one of the fights of the year, because I'm looking at that to be a very, very good fight. Now, the thumbnail, the main topic, Andy Ruiz. Andy, give me an opportunity. Ruiz. If you guys haven't seen my video from earlier, it was a recap on the live that Andy had, right? But before I go into that, we got the final boss, Luka Mora. After Jake nuns over AJ will be chasing the Tate brothers. The trilogy with fully trained Ruiz will never happen. AJ doesn't want that. His fanboys don't want that. Andy Ruiz, I want to see that fight. I would fancy that fight. Andy taking on AJ now, and I think I'll say this about Andy. If Andy learns how to fight, if he is hungry, he can beat AJ because he's already done it. He can hurt AJ, definitely. So we already know, the way he throws his hooks with those short arms, he just, he angles them wide. Yeah, he can do his thing. The BS fights are coming. AJ versus Paul, Ruiz 3, Fury, Usyk 3. Some days boxing lets us down. Bill Keaveney in the building. Counterpunch to you. I don't know. I would be disappointed if they had a trilogy fight, because that meant you stop your normal sway of being a champion to fight someone that is no longer a champion. In fact, you beat Tyson Fury and you took his WBC. And then you ducked Fabio Wardley only to fight Tyson Fury again for a couple extra bucks. That's showing lack of integrity, lack of respect for the rules that apply, that you're supposed to represent for or from the sanctioning bodies. However you want to slice it and dice it, that's what that will be. If we see a Usyk versus Fury 3, yeah, be prepared to counterpunch Alexander Usyk, people. That's all. Be prepared. Get ready. Bryce Productions, hi. 5 times undisputed champion King Kurt, counterpunch to you. Are you watching the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua press conference tomorrow live? I don't know. It depends on where we are. I will. I'm working, so I'm working today and tomorrow and Monday for this show. So if I can watch it, I'll watch it. Okay. XK Shots, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. AJ is finished. He's got both to prove. He's got nothing to prove. Well, there's always something to prove. He's got his ass whooped by 2 different people. He got beat twice by Usyk, which Usyk beat everybody. And what else? Yeah, Danny Dubois. He could always fight Danny Boy. And I think at this point, Danny is just doing stuff for the money. You know what I mean? Because that WBO thing, or should I say that IBF thing, really disappointed me. But unless he fights someone worthy, if he fights someone that we never heard of, he ducked Frank. He ducked Frank anyway. Let's just be real. Danny Dubois ducked Frank Sanchez, or Danny Dubois' people ducked Frank Sanchez, simply based off the fact I don't think Daniel is a guy. Daniel's like, yeah, let's fight, let's get it done, let's bring him on. He may think that, but he's not in charge of his own career. He doesn't call any shots. The only thing Daniel is able to do is tell his dad, hey, I want to go back to Rio and slam some bitches. That's the only thing that he can tell his dad that he's pretty sure on or comfortable enough on saying what will happen or wanting something and getting it. Dubois will fight Wardley. He could fight Wardley. And in that case, I fancy that fight. But, I mean, it won't be him. You know what I mean? It won't be him. But, who wants to be beaten by Frank Sanchez? And taking nothing away from Frank. He ain't going to fight Frank. And it's bad because, I'm tired of British fighting British fighters. Because we have a downgrade or a nosedive of hungry-ass guys. Michael Hunter, Andy Ruiz, Frank Sanchez. I don't know about Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson may be on some other shit, but there's a lot of guys. You got Joshua Edwards is over here. You got 5 heavyweight champions. 5 that we ain't seen in a long time. Oh, yeah, you remember the former WBC heavyweight champion, Deontay Wilder? Him too. So you got a lot of, remember Jarrell Miller? That's 7. That's 7 American heavyweights that have not fought in a very long time. And then all you see now is Brit fighting Brit. That's basically what you're having. That's what we're getting. That's what we're receiving. You got poor heavyweights. No. I think here's the thing. Frank Sanchez saying that you got poor heavyweights. Saying that is like saying, oh, they're no good. Well, it ain't the Americans on Frank's situation, on Frank's hand, on his behalf. He's not pulling out any fights. These guys are pulling out of fights with him. So you can't say that he's ducking. You can't say that he's ducking and not wanting to fight. Okay, the only American that talked his way into a bunch of bullshit but never made anything happen is Jarrell Miller. That is the shit talking, is self-promoting fighter that I ever seen, only to get fights, only to fuck it up or self-sabotage himself. Think about it. Jarrell Miller has pretty much got every opportunity that all of these Americans, Frank, Jared Anderson, not Jared Anderson, because Jared had his opportunity. The only active fighter is Jermaine Franklin. Jermaine Franklin is the active of all of them. Everyone else ain't doing jack. We got 10 of the top 20. But here's the thing. If you only have British heavyweights fighting each other, see, I would very well want to see Fabio take on Frank. But that's not going to happen because what Frank is doing what Al Heyman used to do. He knows that he has a stable of fighters. So he doesn't even have to go across the pond. He doesn't have to do any of that shit. Jake Paul could become the top U.S. heavyweight. I hope not. I surely hope not, because all he's going to do, Jake Paul, he's not going to do anything orthodox. He's going to pull some shit. If he beats AJ, he's going to want to call out somebody like Usyk or someone like Tyson Fury. He's going to want to do something like that. That's what he's going to do. An American in the top 100. Yes, I agree. Fabio versus Frank. That should be the fight should happen. You remember Efe Ajagba? Remember him? Hell, he's African, but, who's knocking down the door to fight his ass? But then he did the same thing that Daniel done. He left. He left. So yeah, so I don't know about that. Now, Andy Ruiz. Andy. You guys notice Andy grew a beard? You notice that? So, if Jermaine KO Atoma, he will put American heavyweights back on the map. If he knocks out Moses Atoma, Frank Warren is going to shit himself. He's going to shit himself because if he knocks out Moses Atoma, if Jermaine Franklin does, it will be something that I wouldn't be surprised of, because it'll show that Moses has no chin. If he gets knocked out by Jermaine Franklin, he doesn't have a chin. And I'm just going to keep it real. His chin is weak. He's chinny. If he gets starched by Jermaine Franklin, being that, and then you expect so much out of him. He's fast, he's quick, he can put combinations together, but he can't take a punch. Well, there you go. He's another Johnny Fisher at this point. Eunice Butterball. What's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. I hope Ruiz fights soon. His inactivity is terrible. I think terrible ain't the word for Andy. Andy's a bullshitter, too. If you notice, he's a bullshitter. And you know what I think Andy does? I think Andy procrastinates. I think he's a bullshit procrastinator. Because everything that he's doing and talking, it's always some big news and I got this coming, and nothing ever happens. You hear this man talk about everything that he has to do, everything that he has going on, but nothing ever happens. He fought Jarrell Miller, and I'm really surprised that he took that fight. But other than that, bro, him saying, oh, my hand, that's the reason why I haven't fought. I'm like, dude, Andy Ruiz, Jarrell Miller, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois. Who else is suffering an injury? You know how many injuries we got these days? We have so many injuries. It's ridiculous. How many fighters are going to be injured at one time? Clarissa Shields signed $8 million deal contract. So what? And if it's to Dimitri Salita, she may made a mistake. Why haven't Ruiz and Wilder fought yet? Well, according to Andy Ruiz, and this is also disappointing, based on the interview we heard him talk about. I mean, the interview itself, I could leave a link. I'm going to leave a link below that video that I made about Andy. But according to Andy, guys, get this. He says, I don't know what happened with me and Wilder. I don't know what happened with that fight. I really wanted that fight. I really wanted the opportunity. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, how in Hades don't you know what happened? That meant if Andy don't know what happened between him and Wilder by now, you know when those guys were talking about fighting? Those guys were talking about fighting, I think in 2023, right? So that was 2 years ago. And it just showed you how much time has pissed by. And then Andy has the nerve to say, I don't know what happened with that. You know, if Andy doesn't know what happened in that situation, that meant that either you didn't want to know, no one explained to you on why the fight didn't happen. My manager talked to Shelly Finkel, but nothing happened. And it's like, look, well, if you thought that fighting Wilder was a good idea, why didn't you push for the fight? And then you have the nerve to tell everyone you don't know what happened. If anything, if you didn't end up fighting Wilder, which we know he didn't fight Wilder, none of that happened because of negotiations. At least have the dignity, okay? Have the integrity to tell us why. Because if it wasn't your fault, Andy, and Andy knows that he tried to get it done, it was all Wilder, he would have told us piece by piece. instead of the shit we heard. Oh, I don't know what happened. How and why don't you know what happened, Andy? Either somebody offered you some money, which this is what I believe happened. They offered Andy a particular percentage because it was an Al Heyman thing, right? Or was it? And Andy and his people turned it down. If that was the case, he should have just said that instead of, I don't know what happened. Yeah, you do. You turned down the fight to fight Deontay Wilder because you thought you were worth more. You priced yourself out and then pretended that you don't know what happened. Things like that bother me about Andy because Andy likes to be a passive bullshitter. And in other words, now you didn't have that fight. Wilder ended up fighting twice since then. Wilder fought Joseph Parker and he fought Zilly Zhang. What have we seen Andy do? Andy waited a whole nother year later to fight Jarrell Miller. Broke his fucking hand, and then a whole nother year has went by, and we have not seen Andy Ruiz at all. We have not seen Andy at all. And then the only thing he has to say, I don't know what happened. Yeah, I think Andy needs to be more transparent. I'm very disappointed in Andy. Because, see, it's only Andy at the end of the day. And he's pissing all this time up and off, and he's doing the treadmill stuff, and, and, you see him working out, but I'm like, what are you working out for? You don't even have a fucking fight, Andy. Yes, I'm tired of Andy sitting around giving us the same bullshit because it's almost, if he doesn't know what happened, that means he doesn't know what's going on with his promotional team, with his management. And if he doesn't know what's going on with his management, that's a big problem. That's how management screws over fighters, because the fighter doesn't have intel that fighter needs to know what's going on with his career. And it happens a lot, though, because you have these guys that are managers and they're ciphering money and they're taking money and putting it up and they're hiding money, and there's revenue of fights that the fighter never sees because the manager is taking that shit, put it away in a vault, and filed it as some type of miscellaneous charge where it's really fraud because the manager's robbing that fighter blind, blood, sweat, and tears. That's how that happens. That's how fighters end up getting jacked over, because they don't know what's going on. Andy should know everything that's going on in his career. Quan Big Guns, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Frank Warren uses fighters and throwing them up like garbage. Look at Parker and Hrgovic. I mean, Hrgovic just took his first loss. Was it last year? Yeah. So Hrgovic, it's Hrgovic's fault. I thought Hrgovic was a better fighter than what he was. He just turned out not to be. He turned out to be a one-dimensional fighter with a decent chin, but I mean, his ability, we've really learned that in the Dempsey McKean fight. We found out that Filip Hrgovic couldn't fight. That's nobody's fault but his. That's not Frank's fault. He's just not that dude we thought he was. And see, everybody let that win he got over Zhang go to his head. Andy was getting his ass whooped by Miller last time I saw him. I didn't know why he announcing big fights. I think that Jarrell Miller did enough to beat Andy, because Andy was getting pushed back, But Jarrell's not a power puncher, but he's a big dude that throws volumes. I enjoyed that fight. I really did. It was like a seal taking on a big ass warthog or something. Hrgovic looks lazy. He's slouchy. It's just in his nature. I just think he's slouchy. A lot of people look at it as him as being awkward. I look at Hrgovic as being slouchy. He's a slouchy dude. His stance is like, he has this European-like stance. He throws like mediocre flat combinations. They're really predictable. That's why I know Adelaide ain't worth a shit, because Adelaide didn't have any answer for the mediocrity that Filip Hrgovic had, and his offense is garbage. It's dumpster fire juice. That's what it is. It's dumpster fire juice. Filip Hrgovic is not a good fighter. He's a tough one, You know, he's decent, but he's not good, and he's surely not what we thought he was. But we found out about him. You know, he think about it. He had the easiest fight. He fought Mark Demori. Mark Demori, I've never heard of, and I haven't heard since from him. That dude. So that dude, you know, he had an easy go. Okay. Adelaide is experienced. In a couple years, Adelaide will beat Philip. Okay. Where do you think, who do you think is the next big thing? I think Moses. I don't know. I mean, I hope so. I hope they have somebody, but here's the sad part. They won't be ever bigger than AJ. Someone has to come. You guys won't have another British dude like AJ until the Olympics, and they might have had someone. You know, they're trying to bring up Leo Tang and you know, Joshua Edwards.
We are out of lightning delay.
So it is what it is. Philip beats Philip Big Balls Hergovic. Yeah. Hergovic is like an old school Eastern European before Loma. Bivol and Usyk came on the scene. Yeah, he got beat up by Dubois. Dubois beat his ass. Dubois just gave him a good ass whooping, basically. Kurt, why did Usyk drop the belt in your opinion? We don't know. We don't know why he dropped the belt. See, we can assume why he did it. I'm just waiting to see what he says, the reason why he said. I mean, we owe him that much. It might be because he's fighting. A lot of people think he's fighting Tyson Fury. So Dubois was supposed to be that guy, but isn't. No, he's not. Dubois is not. I think Dubois just had a child. He fell in love. He's finally getting some box. Danny Dubois is finally getting some box. And because he's finally getting some box, I think that made him complacent. Because I think Dubois was better than he is now. I think he's got a little slower, you know, but that probably is because Usyk was a lot faster than him. Usyk beat the hell out of that boy. He beat him to the punch, he countered him, and he knocked him out. Or he made him quit. However you looked at it, Usyk still beat the hell out of him, though. So it don't matter. Anthony Joshua beats up Jake Paul. He's supposed to beat Jake Paul. And if he doesn't, a fix is in. Kurt, what's your prediction for Haney versus Norman? That's a good question. I was thinking about that fight. And let me tell you something. Shout out to Bill Haney, man. I like Bill Haney. I know Bill. I respect Bill. Bill has poured all the street shit, all the street juice, all the drug money, the whatever, illegal, legal, he's poured it all into his son. That's what Bill Haney has done. Bars. And I have to respect Bill. I respect Bill. But Devin Haney, I will say this about Devin. Devin has fought everyone. He's fought Loma. He's fought Ryan. He's fought Jorge Linares. He's fought a lot of people. You know, and I have to give him, you know, he's the only one that has really stepped up. T.O., Ryan, Tank, all those dudes that were supposed to be the four kings ain't about shit. Devin is. However, Devin Haney, unless, you know, like his last performance was piss poor. And it was piss poor based on the fact that he didn't engage. And people really looked at that as like, ugh, disgusting. But Brian Norman, undefeated fighter, welterweight champion. I'm hoping, and this is my hope, I'm hoping Brian Norman knocks Devin's ass out. But that's my desire, and I'm going to be real with you. I hope Brian. I'm looking for a KO, but in the world we live in, based on what Devin does, because Devin knows not only knows how to box, he knows how to survive, but the surviving mechanism uh, conveys holding, clenching, and doing those type of things to survive. So it may make the fight shitty. And, Devin doesn't want to engage in fights like that. All that, and see, it's sad because all that bullshit we seen him and the security and the tussles and all the shoves and all this little mini riot they've had. He may go in there and fight like somebody's scared. And if he goes in there and fights someone like that, um, people will start to resent him. He may win a decision, but what's going to happen with Devin if he wins in a way that's displeasing to Turkey and to the audience, the fans, what have you, people are going to start turning their back on Devin and the less opportunities he'll have. And the only thing that people will get up for is to see him go away from the sport, leave the sport because we don't want to see you because he hasn't did the things to excite the fans. That's Devin Haney. Now, can he box and jab and grab and move? Yeah, he can do that. Could he do that the whole time? Probably. But do you really want to see that shit? Do you really want to see Devin Haney box, jab, move, run, avoid, disengage? Do you really want to see Devin Haney do that, fight a power puncher like Brian Norman? Or do you want to fancy, or do you want to see Brian Norman connect something that knocks his head off? I would rather see Brian Norman knock his head off. I'm just being real. I would rather see that. But don't be surprised if Devin Haney is able to box in a clever, on avoiding, passive way and win the fight. Because what'll happen if he jabs and grabs Brian Norman may not have the experience to stay poised or to stay patient. And what happens is when he gets impatient, he may lose his shit and may start doing things like filing or shoving or elbow to the chin because Devin Haney's trying to hug him with a kung fu grip. Because that's what happens when Devin Haney gets in the inside and he's not sure what the fighter's going to do. He's going to try to get off or throw that jab and then grab. I've seen Devin do that shit so many times. And, so I think he can win a decision. I think he can win a decision just based off the fact that, he's been everywhere. But no, I want Brian Norman to knock his ass out officially because he's been whooped before. Juiced up ass Ryan did that, but he was juiced up. So, but it still doesn't avoid or still doesn't. You can look that fight up anytime you want to if you want to see Devin Haney do the same shit, get beat up. Or Haney and Garcia, 147 fighter. I don't know what weight class Ryan is in. I know he should be because they're about the same size. They're both tall. They're both about 5'8" or 5'9". They're both young as shit, so they got a lot of growing to go. We know Devin Haney's at 147. We just don't know what Ryan Garcia or where he's at. Bud and Haney, pound for pound, number 1 and number 2. If Devin Haney's number 2, we got a piss poor ass sport. If he's number 2, nah, not that bullshit he pulled. Fury is done. He's over 20 stones now. Was under 18 against Klitschko. I don't care. I don't care what Tyson Fury does. Tyson Fury, in my mind, is done. Haney's still undefeated. Ryan missed weight and was on PEDs. He tried to unalive Haney.
Lightning delay.
Uh-oh. Here we go. Copy that. And I don't know, man. I don't like Ryan Garcia. I don't like him at all. I hope if he fights Conor Benn, I hope Conor Benn knocks him out. But understand, Conor Benn has a habit to being overzealous, overeager. And we know Ryan is fast as shit. We know he's fast. AJ is going out, so sad if this is true. Light spar with fake Paul and pointless trilogy with Ruiz, whom he effortlessly beat 11-1 last time out. Haney will outbox Ben too. You know what? And it's not that Devin Haney's a bad fighter. Well, he just doesn't fight. So I don't really rate him as a fighter. He's a boxer. He's cut up as shit now, though. If you've seen Devin Haney, he looks good. But I'm just keeping it real, man. Devin Haney, I think I looked at him to be the next Pretty Boy Floyd, and he's not. He's just not on that level. He doesn't, like at the beginning, because the Mayweathers, back when Roger was still around, Roger was actually training Devin. So he was at the Mayweather gym, and he learned a lot from those guys. And you start to see signs of it when he was in the ring, his stance and everything. But here's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is Devin Haney's a decent fighter. He's just not like Pretty Boy. So in my mind, I thought he was going to replace Pretty Boy or be the next Pretty Boy, like Adrian Broner was. You remember how Adrian Broner was just dynamic, and Adrian Broner was fast, his combinations, the shoulder roll, you know what I mean? And he was doing phenomenal things, but the way he was doing it was very impressive. Pre-Maidana, right? That ain't Devin Haney. Devin Haney will have some shit going where he goes the distance. The two Kambosos fight, the Lomachenko fight, where a lot of people thought that he lost to Lomachenko. You know what I mean? Then he fought Ryan Garcia. Jorge Linares stunned him. So like these fights are not the type of fights that we've seen Pretty Boy do. We've seen how Pretty Boy did it. Pretty Boy stopped people. He made you quit. He made the other fighters corner throw in the damn towel. You remember Diego Chico Corrales. You remember Zab Judah. You remember Sean Bay Mitchell. You remember Daryl Chop Chop Corley. These were dominant performances by Pretty Boy. That's what I thought Devin Haney was going to be, and he's just not. And then that's what it is. It's not that he's bad. He's just nowhere near where Floyd was. And because of that, therefore, I'm disappointed because I'm comparing him to the expectations of Pretty Boy. Is that right? I don't know. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. Okay? Haney send me to sleep. He boring as shit. Again, it's not the performances that we like to see. And in other words, yeah. He's not exciting. He doesn't put the exclamation mark on his performances. He doesn't do it. He doesn't go beyond and above. He doesn't counter. He doesn't come back with those shots like Floyd's able to do. Floyd's able to block, counter, block, slip, dip, repeat the process. That ain't Devin Haney. Devin will jab, grab. He might jab. Oh, that's Devin Haney. Okay, so, that's that. Devin has a decent, he's a decent fighter, but he's not TBE. Nah, he's not. Let's just keep it. He's just not. That's all, and I think in time he may develop into his own style because he's more like a poor man version of Pretty Boy. Really, it's more like money. He's more like Money Mayweather. So, there you go. Just like Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is his own fighter. So maybe if Devin comes into his own fighting style, he may be more impressive. But he could outbox Norman because Norman hasn't been in there with anyone like Devin. Contrast Devin. Unlike Devin. Devin has been in there with damn near everyone except Tank. Well, not T ain't fault T.O., but T.O.'s another disappointment. T.O. has good skills, but T.O. is not what you think he is. He's not. Teofimo Lopez Jr. is a fighter kind of like his ego did more fighting than he ever did. The only person that he's beat is who? He's beat Lomachenko, and he just recently beat Barbosa. But the problem is his attitude kind of shined through, and he came off. He gave people the impression he was on some kind of drugs. Like he was acting weird. Maybe he was nervous. I don't know. T.O. is inconsistent, correct. Then he got his ass whooped by Kambosos, and Kambosos has been beaten by everybody. So it makes like what T.O. done insignificant. That's the word. He's insignificant. He's inactive. He talks a lot of shit. You hear about him wanting these fights. Nothing ever gets done. You know what I mean? So all of those guys are just doing the same shit. He should have fought Ryan Garcia. He could have fought Devin Haney. You know, it was talks about him fighting Boots. He was talking about going all the way up there. But what have you seen him do? Nothing. And one thing about T.O., what happened to his male cheerleader? You guys know who T.O.'s male cheerleader is. T.O. Sr. What happened to him? Did he fall off the wagon? What happened to T.O. Sr.? Used to hear it from T.O. all the time a few years ago. My son, bro. Let me tell you, bro. My son, bro. Every round. My son. My son. My son. That's all you heard. Now, you haven't heard anything from T.O. Sr. I hope he's okay. You know what I mean? I've interviewed him. He's outspoken. He loves his child, but I hope nothing's wrong with him. I hope that's not the reason where he's faded away. But nonetheless, it doesn't matter because we haven't seen him either. And he's the only guy. He's another component to Team T.O. So, inactivity, absent cheerleader, right? The support system ain't there. So, yeah. T.O. is an insecure fraud fighter. Well, if he loses to Shakur Stevenson, you'll probably never hear from him again. Double Cheese Ruiz. Somebody behind the scenes humbled T.O.'s dad. They both insecure men. Hey, it could have been the Reynosos, because remember the last time you heard T.O. Sr. do anything was when, you remember when T.O. Jr. was working with the Reynosos and they were all together and it was just, and he was saying some brash New York shit and they kind of like, hey, cállate, por favor. Please. Yardis versus Benavidez. Tear up. Gonna be a hell of a fight, man. I want to see what happens, because we've seen David hurt before. He's been hurt at 175. Isn't this his third fight at 175? Vosnik, Morel, now Yard. Yeah. Hey, people, they say third time's a charm. Kurt, Fabio Wardley versus Filip Hrgovic next. No. Because what I'm going to do, if he doesn't fight, if Dubois doesn't get that fight with Fabio, Dubois is going to have to be counterpunched. And on top of that, he's going to have to go to the redemption list. I have no hope in Yard doing it versus Benavidez. Benavidez is a hell of a fighter. I like his combinations. You know, I haven't seen combinations like that since De La Hoya. In fact, I think he's faster than De La Hoya and he's bigger. But De La Hoya brought that type of excitement, the flurries, the combinations. Those flurries were very exciting, you know, and they will pick you apart. You know, that's how De La Hoya got you out of there. He sets you up with the jab, right hand, and then that left hook, or he catches you with the left hook, followed by flurries. He could get you out of there. Fabio will KO Hrgovic easy. I hope it happens. There's fights that can happen. There's fights that can happen, man. So, Triple D should already be on the redemption list. You know what, Skrilla, you're right. You're absolutely right. I just didn't put him on there because I didn't really even think about Daniel being on the redemption list, but after he got his ass whooped by Usyk, he should have been, but then who ain't got beat by Usyk? Usyk's beaten everyone. Joyce, Bellew, Chisora, Joshua, Dubois, Fury. There's more, but those are the top guys. Those are the top names. I would love to see Moses versus Frank. They don't want Moses in there with Frank. See, they would rather get Jermaine Franklin, knowing Jermaine Franklin is nowhere near the type of fighter Frank is. They know that style of Frank, that sharp shooting, explosive counterpunching style where he can move, will give Moses problems, and they know that. They know that shit. That's why they pulled him out. They pulled him back. They stopped his progression. They said he was going too fast. They say he was doing too much. That's what they did to Moses. I want people to understand that. Moses got snatched back in opposition. He went from Frank Sanchez to Jermaine Franklin. And Jermaine Franklin has short arms. So that could be a short night. Because Jermaine Franklin has to work for everything that he's done. He has to work to get in. If he's on the outside, he has to be careful not to get caught. So he has to find himself a sweet spot. He has to get inside, you know, because he has short arms. He's shorter than Moses. Yeah, that shit could be a nightmare. It could be an easy fight for Moses. And we'll still be looking like, damn, is somebody going to find a way to crack this kid in his jaw to show that he has any type of durability, any type of force field to the chin and chin. But I don't know.
Silas.
So it is what it is.
Brother, can you pull up some vans to the front door? We're just going to let people sit in them, shelter from lightning, and clear out the inside a little bit.
You got it, buddy.
Let Worley have 2 months off. Nah. Well, he's just fought. He's fought twice this year. He's fought Hooney. He's fought Parker. I don't see nothing wrong with that. You know? I don't see anything wrong with that. I think Usyk wants to retire. If he wants to retire, let him. But if he retires, I wish he would have retired already. You know what I mean? Because now it just seems like he ducked Fabio and then he retires. It's like, damn, Fabio Wardley ran you into retirement. He ran you away from the sport, Usyk. Damn. You didn't even want to fight that big hand cannon. You know, maybe you didn't see yourself knocking him out. He stopped Joseph Parker. He knocked out Hooney. You know, he's had war and broke Frazier Clark's jaw. You know, he has him a nice little resume going. And the first thing you do when it came for you to fight him, you dropped the belt, then you retired? Oh, that sounds real bad. That sounds worse. Usyk wants to dance with girls and play football. Man, wouldn't that be a trip? Usyk got all that money and he turns into a Tyson Fury, minus the coke. Because I think Usyk likes to dance, so he might just be like, you know. But if he does, I mean, remember something. Alexander Usyk's just a man like most people. You know, he's a man with, what, 3 or 4 kids. Hell, wasn't that Manny Pacquiao? And what was Manny Pacquiao doing? People forget about that. We talk about what Floyd does. We didn't talk about what Manny Pacquiao did. You know, he was slamming Paris Hilton and company. He was having sex with chicks and, disobeying his marriage. That's what he was doing. He admitted that. He was getting drunk on that whiskey brand. Remember, what was it? What did he have? It was some kind of whiskey brand. What whiskey brand was Manny Pacquiao attached to? He was attached to a whiskey brand. What was it? Or was it a cognac or something like that? I told my brother Carol got KO'd a couple years ago. Some people assume Moses got a bad chin, DNA. This is the heavyweight division, man. Understand, it doesn't take much. All it takes is a complete shot from a bigger guy. You're in the biggest weight class in the division. If you get caught with a punch and you get knocked out, doesn't mean you're a bum. It just means you're for one, you're in a dangerous weight class. But for two, you just don't have the best chin. But I want to see how he handles adversity. If he gets dropped, if he gets hurt, then he gets dropped. What does he do? Does he know to hold? Does he know to clinch? Does he know to survive, to wait the time up, to look up to see what the hell that time clock says? Does it say 2 minutes and 37 seconds? Or do you have 18 seconds before the bell's over? Do you have a minute before the bell rings? Do you have these things? We don't know none of that about Moses. But I want to find out. Ali had the same problem with women. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, man, you're a boxer, bro. Who don't want to, you're a heavyweight champion of the world. You're the heavyweight champion of the world, and you got chicks, all them old fine, hot, sexy ring girls. Think about it. You think, you're a man. If you like women, that's going to be a temptation. It can be. You know what I mean? Especially they're all smiling and shit at you, titties all right here, not down here, but right here. They're all fit, fine, hot rocking bodies. Yeah. I don't fault people like that, man. You know what I mean? My thing is about anybody that's self-control. I mean, you're not killing anybody. You're not harming your body, right? You're getting your rocks off. You're just, but the thing is, Alexander Usyk, that doesn't look good for his reputation and under God, because he's married, right? He's said vows, and and he has a pretty wife, and I think his wife is pretty cool. You don't hear a lot from her. You don't hear her talk a lot. You don't hear her in the scene like that, like other people, so yeah. So yeah, it would.
Can you back up a little bit just so this little Jeep car can get out?
So.
Back in the loop. Hey guys, if you can, shut up the tailgates on your trucks real quick, and that way they're not getting rain on the inside.
Copy. One moment. Okay. So, all right. All right, that's enough. Okay, so, but yeah, boxers, man, boxers are going to go through that type of thing, man. I mean, you think that you're in Grand Tunica, Mississippi, and you're fighting, or you're in Vegas. Do you know how many hot chicks are in Vegas? You know how much? Do you know how many chicks are out there that's wanting to just lay down with the champ? You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Looks like Parker's gonna get a ban if the B sample comes back dirty.
I need a blanket and a glass of wine.
Copy that. So, I think that.
Sorry, Faith, I don't think they have that inside Roxy.
I do think though that if Parker, if it comes back dirty, and he denies it, I mean, I think it'll just be, his word against, the evidence. It'll be his word against his evidence. So, yeah. Yeah, Liam Cameron, 4 years is disgusting for a recreational. Some British fighter got banned for 4 years doing what Parker did. That would finish Parker. Yeah, I mean, he would be 38. And then by that time, he's made enough money and, he'll probably just be chilling. And something, I think what people don't realize about the whole situation, okay, it's bad all the way around. Let's say he's never done drugs, but he tests positive out of the blue for something he's never done. Hell, that may make him take drugs. You're on a 2-year ban. What's going to stop you from doing a couple lines or experimenting with something that somebody claimed you did? Hell, he's probably thinking, especially when you get low, and imagine Joseph Parker right now. And he's sitting there thinking, how in the hell did cocaine get in my A sample and then in my B sample? It would be better if the B sample comes back clean, because then he can argue that, look, you see, something's going on. We need to investigate who the hell had access to my A sample after I signed my name on that veil of piss or blood, right, and sent it off. Who had access of that, with that, after that? That's what you ask yourself. So he has that. But if the B sample comes back just like the A sample, and he knows, and his hearts of hearts, there's some contamination, but there's no way to prove that it's contaminated, and he's never done drugs like that in his life. What do you think that'll do to him, to his career, to his mental health? And when I mean mental health, his mindset. What do you think that'll do to his mindset? Like, look, I didn't do nothing. Then here comes Tyson Fury. Oh, Tyson! Hey, Parker! You want to try a little of this white horse? Hell, I guess so now. I've never done it. So let's try it. That's what I'm talking about, me boy. Come on, let's go to the bathroom. Come on. He might want to try the shit then. He's like, I never done it, but shit, I'm going to start doing it. Send me an escort number, bro. Man, you don't need me to send you an escort number. For one, I don't know escorts. For two, you go to Vegas for stuff like that. It wouldn't be the first time A positive and B is negative. No, it's not. No, it wouldn't. The B sample never changes from A. Sharing a water bottle with Fury. Hey, man, that could have happened to Joshua. Remember when he took that drink of Guinness from Conor McGregor. And Conor McGregor's big ass nose, he drank it, and some of the coke got into the drink, and he drank it behind Conor McGregor. That could have happened, and that's why that was a dumb move, AJ. He had blood and shit coming all out his mouth, and he drank after that shit, and a lot of coke could, man. I'm trying to tell you. So, could have been contaminated from banknotes. I don't know, man. Or here's another scenario. Joseph Parker, the B sample comes back positive, and he does do drugs. Well, if he does drugs, I mean, it's fair to say, okay, you should be banned. But what does that do for Joseph? Joseph might become a cokehead. Hell, you think that 267, you see him again, he's 230. Yeah, he's been doing coke. He got money too, and then, last I heard, coke was a rich person's drug. You had to got some money to do some coke. Uh-oh. You got to have some money to do that shit. AJ nasty for that. LOL. Fury just breathes on you and you're dirty. Fabio should skip Usyk and just fight the next in line in the WBO to 10. All right. Let's do this. The WBO heavyweight rankings. All right, so we have okay, the WBO heavyweight rankings as of November 15th. Moses Atoma is number 1, which I got a video to do about Moses. Philip Hrgovic is number 2. Zhilei Zhang is number 3. Daniel Dubois is number 4. Jared Anderson is number 5. Derek Chisora is number 6. Nelson Heisa, the WBO Global, is number 7. And I don't know 8, 9, and 10. Okay? But out of those names, Moses, Philip, Zhilei Zhang, Danny Dubois, Jared Anderson, Derek Chisora, I never heard of Nelson, so I'm going to exclude him, right? But all those other names, the first 6 names, yeah, why wouldn't you? And that's, if I'm Derek Chisora, I want my 50th, that will be the 50th. I want to take on Fabio Wardley for that WBO because he did want to fight for a world title, am I correct? And he's in the top 10. Derek Chisora's in the top 10. His 50th fight, he wanted to be for a title. It would work out perfectly for Derek Chisora because Derek Chisora wants to have his 50th and final fight. What more than a better fight to make with Fabio Wardley being the newly crowned WBO heavyweight champion? Counterpunch. So yeah, I would, if I'm Derek Chisora, I'm going to want to fight Fabio. He might get knocked out by Fabio though. But then again, here's the deal. Derek Chisora's no bitch. Derek will probably, you don't know what Derek will do, bro. Derek may have that one shot, that one fight left where he gives Fabio hell. Because Fabio is going to go, he's looking for that right hand, right? But we know one thing about Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora's ass will, in fact, smother the progress of Fabio. Fabio needs that space to throw that right hand. Kurt Nielsen Heisen is a very good heavyweight from Albania. Okay. Usyk wants him to fight Atoma so he can fight him instead for a bigger payday. Well, and it's slick too. He doesn't have to fight them both. You know what I mean? But you think about it, you're like, oh well, hey dude, what's the deal? I would like Usyk to fight all these new guys because that's exactly what. Say what you want about Vladimir Klitschko. Vlad fought all those dudes. He fought Lamont Brewster. He fought Chris Bird. You know what I'm saying? He fought all of those guys that were there. The upcoming guys, he fought them and he beat them. Derek got that dog in him. He's like Joe Frazier, but less skilled. True, but he's bigger. He's bigger than Joe. Smoking Joe Frazier wasn't a big guy. He was like Tyson's size. You know? He just had a big punch and a great hook. Wardley should fight only fight Usyk or Caballero. He's not going to do that. He's not going to limit his options to those tough mother suckers. He's not going to do that. I am very handsome, bro. Okay. Kurt Crawford versus Jennebeck next.
Another strike. New back in is 428.
Okay, 428. Kurt Crawford versus Zennebeck. Oh, Crawford. No. Well, I mean, if Zennebeck can beat Lara, and that's the fight in December, I gotta see, peeps. Klitschko didn't fight Chris Bird. He clipped his wings. Lennox Lewis would have beat any fighter of this era. We need some great heavyweights again. I miss those days. Those days are gone. Hell, I miss the early 2000s too. I miss being in my younger 20s. You know, I think about like times and stuff like that. Like I didn't really have the word. Well, I had a younger kid at the time. I mean, she was a baby, but I really didn't. I didn't have a care in the world. I made decent money. I ran a pizza operation. So I made good money. So give Hrgovic respect. He is an Olympic medalist, and he has heart. He never backed down. This is true. The man has balls the size of Atlanta, Georgia, and he has a chin to win. Does he have hard and huge punching power? No. But, I think he's a accumulation fighter. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not, but skill-wise, no, he doesn't. He's not really that good, but he does have good attributes. Balls and a good chin. That'll take you a long way, especially in the heavyweight division. A young Lewis was unbeatable. Oh, that's bullshit. Yeah, he was. He got his ass knocked out being young. He was good, but that didn't mean he couldn't get beat because he got beat. Wardley should give Parker his rematch. B. Wayne 88, justice for Joseph. Parker needs to clear his name first. Wardley said he'd rematch him. He did say that, but that was before the coke. See, I haven't heard Wardley say anything about that, I would like to know, but I mean, Wardley has broke silence on Usyk because that was his next opponent. He hasn't talked too much about Joseph at all. I have bigger balls than Hrgovic. Okay. No way he has big balls. Never heard any females say Europeans have big balls. What the hell does European and big balls have to do with each other? You just got big balls, you got big balls, period.
Early.
Do you make a good pizza? No, I don't. I can't even fucking stretch dough. I suck at all that type shit. Like pizza dough and stuff, I don't know. I don't have a drop of Italian blood in my body over here. Hell that I know of. I bet JP contaminated Wardley. No, I mean, no. Yeah, but you said a young Lennox Lewis is unbeatable, but he got beat, so he wasn't unbeatable. That's what I meant by that. Kurt, who wins? Fabio Worley versus I Get Caballo. You know, that would be a fight that needs to happen, I feel. It probably will happen eventually based on what happens. So, you know, because you think about it, if Usyk retires, if he does first of all, if Usyk decides to fight Tyson Fury again, he should be stripped of every belt out there. He shouldn't be fighting for any of those belts. Those belts should be fragmented back. He should relinquish every one of them because he's not fighting anybody anymore. You know, he's stopped the count. He's stopped the formation. He's ended the game. Okay? He's ended the challenge. He's ended the reign. Bars. He needs to let them go and let all these younger guys fight for him. Then he can fight Tyson Fury 100 times if you know, but you know, I'm sick of Tyson. You know, I think Tyson does coke on his downtime. I think he parties a lot, but I think he does it in a way where people don't really see him a lot. You know, he may go to Spain and get wasted in Spain, or probably, you know, Gibraltar or something like that. Caballo would be the favorite, but so was Parker.
Okay, good.
Well, I think that Caballo fighting Wardley would be a pretty good fight. I think Caballo still gets him. The only thing is, we know Caballo can be hurt too. We've seen that in the Zhang fight. And we've seen Zhang put down Caballo. But I think it would be a war. But we learned about Caballo. He's still able to get up and commence beating you. See, he beat Zhang all to the body. He outworked Zhang. He made Zhang outwork himself, empty his gas tank, get tired, and then just pretty much quit. He made him quit just by the volume of the body assault. He was going to the body. He was working the gut. He was hitting the solar plexus. He was beating on his kidneys. He was destroying his liver. He was doing everything to Zhang. Bap, bap, bap. Oh, Zhang just like, he did the same to Mark Madoff. He did the same to Frank Sanchez, but he mixed it up. He went head, body, 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 head. That's what he did. Okay, and someone like Fabio Wardley, he can throw that right hand. If Caballo can neutralize that right hand, he will stop Fabio in 6 rounds. But if Fabio lands that right hand, it's going to be a different story. But keep in mind, getting hit to the body is nothing like the comparison of getting hit to the head. See, you can take punches all day upstairs. Look at Zhang's chin. Zhang has a chin. But your body, when you get beat and hit and damaged from a punch to your body, it's a different type of pain. It's physical pain. It's not cerebral pain. Cerebral pain is like, bow, and you hear your head ring, and then something happens to your legs. That's nothing that so it's physical, but it's cerebral because a nerve or a damage or shock to your brain has signaled your legs not to work. Instead of someone just kicking you in the leg or someone hitting you in the body or in the arm. It's almost like getting hit. You ever got hit in the arm and got a frog? You know what I mean? That's physical pain. The same for a left hook to the body or an overhand, to the body or a straight jab to the solar plexus. Those physically hurt. Bow! Ah! Son of a bitch, it hurts you. Okay? Liver shots shut your legs down. Liver shots make you go down. Because the pain right there when you get hit, bow! Oh, you're going to drop because you don't want to get hit there again. It don't make your legs give. It just makes you drop because of the pain that you've sustained from that punch to the liver. That's an organ that filters your whole damn body. You get hit to that. Oh, yeah. Yo, G, how long you been on, gangsta? An hour, dude. I've been on an hour. I didn't even notice I've been on an hour. But, I'm on set, so it's like hurry up and wait. So, I bet Zhang Wait, Usyk just dropped the title for Wardley so he can be 3 times undisputed heavyweight when he fights for it later. If he didn't do that, then it's just a regular title defense. Well, I mean, it don't matter. See, no. One thing Usyk has not done, people, he has not fought and beat one person yet for all the belts while having all the belts. See, he fought Daniel Dubois because Daniel Dubois held the IBF. He fought Tyson Fury while Tyson Fury held the WBC. He's now, if he decides to fight Fabio Wardley, it would be because Fabio has the WBO. He's holding the WBO, right? So it's not that he had all 4 and just defended all 4. He's never done that before. So it would have been better for him to keep his damn belt. You know, a lot of people think, oh, no, he needs to become a 3rd, 4th, and 5th time. But if he's never defended the titles, he's never defended the undisputed heavyweight crown. He's been a reigning and defending unified heavyweight champion. He has never been an undisputed reigning heavyweight champion because every fight consists of him either he won the belt from Tyson, got all the belts, but he lost the IBF. Then he fights Tyson Fury, defending the other 3 belts that he had currently, right? He still had. Then he fights Daniel Dubois for the IBF. Okay, he didn't have the IBF when he fought Daniel Dubois. Had he fought Fabio Wardley while he had the WBO, this would have been his first reign as a undisputed heavyweight champion. Michael Hunter versus Daniel Dubois. Daniel ain't gonna fight Michael Hunter because Michael Hunter could beat Daniel Dubois. He could beat Daniel, but he's not gonna fight Daniel. I would like that, but no. Frank ain't gonna want that. Screw what Daniel wants. We established something. Daniel does not call the shots. He does not call the shots. He does not make his play. He does what Frank says or his daddy says. What Stan or Frank says goes. Hey, I think you should fight this fight. All right, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready. I'll fight anyone. Are you entertained? Yeah. Yeah, I'm at work, man. WBO is a watered-down title. I mean, it's still a title. It's still a world title. Dubois is retired. No, he ain't. Itoma versus Miller. That would be good. That would be very good. You know? I would love to see Itoma versus Miller. Nah, I haven't had lunch yet, man. I had a big breakfast, which I'm not even hungry. In fact, on set, I try to fast because on set, bro, you can get fat as shit. Let me share something with you guys, man. Show you guys something, man. Look at all this shit. Look at all this. There's more. I got all types of shit in here. It's like a candy store right around the corner. There's a candy store right around the corner. You can get all you want. Sandwiches, potato chips, fruit, vegetables. You can get anything you want. Miller versus Wilder, the battle of Telly. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's pin that sucker. Boom. Let's pin that. Hell yeah. Let's pin that comment. Counterpunch to you. Yeah. Telly Swift is very attractive, but you know something though. I feel bad for Wilder, but I also did feel bad for Floyd. Because you know the same thing happened to Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was he was engaged to what's her name? They called her Miss Jackson, right? I can't remember her first name, but she was out of Miami. Motherfucker she was gorgeous. I don't know if she was prettier than Telly Swift. I think that's just up to your interpretation, but they were both very attractive, dimples and shit. You know what I mean? I think Miss Jackson was probably prettier, but I think Telly was sexier. You know what I mean? Because one, I think Miss Jackson, I don't know, I think she was just kind of a multi-racial chick from Miami. Go figure. And while Wilder's chick was just like she was Blasian, right? But the same thing happened to Floyd. Floyd fell in love with a chick that he thought he was going to have children, and I think she's supposed to have twins, and then she went and hit the cancel button on those kids, and he found out about it, and then that's why they broke up, and then she ended up going with Nelly, the rapper. So she dated him for a couple years. So after he broke up with Ashanti, the singer. So yeah, and Floyd, he was pissed off about it. You could tell he was. Oh, these hoes ain't loyal. These hoes, hey, and Leonard, these hoes ain't loyal. Nobody was even talking about it. So yeah, I used to like Britney Spears, but she looks nuts nowadays. She probably lost her mind, man. These chicks like that. Britney Spears is from Louisiana. But keep in mind that that's a lot of pressure, for a lot of tours and a lot of things you probably don't want to do. Then you have rehearsals. Then, you know what I mean? It's hard work doing all that shit, man. Entertaining people. Entertaining people, man. And it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know if you guys are a fan of K-pop, but there's a lot of, bro, it's been about 3 or 4 of K-pop artists, like chicks, have just, unalived themselves because it was just the pressure was too much to bear. Kurt, who wins? Fabio Wardley versus a prime Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz would get Fabio. Because what Fabio would do, Fabio would walk into something and get countered. That heavy-ass right hook of Ortiz or that left uppercut of Ortiz would have caught Fabio and knocked him out. He would have knocked out Fabio. But Luis Ortiz did get a little overzealous. And that's how he got beat by Wilder twice. The second fight, he was just careless. The first fight, both fights he was careless. And Wilder caught him with that right hand and put him down. Wilder had that power at that time. The 2018 version of Deontay Wilder was very dangerous. You know what I mean? He was very dangerous. That dude, yeah. Kurt, Usyk or Holyfield in his prime? Usyk. I think Usyk would beat Holyfield because Michael Moore beat Holyfield. And Michael Moore was a decent southpaw, but Michael Moore didn't have a chin, but he was able to outbox Holyfield. Usyk's a better boxer than Michael Moore. So not only does Usyk have a chin, Usyk can box better. Then he's more durable. See, Usyk can take a punch. You'll see every punch that Usyk got hit by. You look at Usyk, his face shows, bro, you've been in a fight. You know what I mean? Both fights, when he fought AJ and he got that big ass cut right there when he fought AJ, or the second fight where he looked like a damn raccoon, like somebody put some, you know what I mean? Because both of his eyes were blackened from taking punishment in the ring. Yeah, he gets hit. So I think Usyk beats Holyfield, bro. No question about it. I think he boxes him. I think he does what he always does. Because the only way I see Holyfield being effective in a fight with Usyk is he has Usyk in the trenches where Usyk decides to fight him flat-footed. When the hell have you seen that with Usyk? Usyk's a damn dancer. He ain't going to fight flat-footed. He may sit down on some shots, but he ain't going to just stand there and go toe-to-toe with you and just throw. No, he's not going to do that. And the only thing helped Holyfield was a smaller heavyweight compared to the guys that he was fighting, i.e. Lennox Lewis and Bo. Those guys were bigger. Those were bigger dudes. You know what I mean? And he had some good hand speed as well. You know what I mean? He beat Hasim Rahman. Hasim Rahman was like 6'4", 6'5". So, but he was faster in a situation. But Holyfield was a mother sucker, though. He could throw punches and bunches. But I just don't think that Usyk would be there and sit there to allow Holyfield to land the shots that we've seen Holyfield land against those guys that I just mentioned in the 90s. Okay? Fabio versus Prime Wilder. I think the Wilder from...
Hey guys, if anyone has their truck running by their craft service setup, can y'all turn it off? There's a lot of exhaust going into the craft service engine. Thank you.
Wilder will go down as the 13th or 14th best of his era. Prime Mike versus Lewis. Mike. Lennox Lewis was knocked out by a guy that used to spar Mike all the time, Oliver McCall.
That was running.
No, I think Mike gets Lennox because Lennox had to, grow into his body. He was kind of lanky and tall, He might have been a little quicker than he was when he was bigger, but I think that bigger size Lennox, I don't think anybody could handle. But we're talking about a young Lennox. No, Mike gets him. Because Mike was more mobile. He was more at himself. He was, he was that gifted, peaked fighter when he was 19 or 20 years old. Yeah, he beats Lennox Lewis young. But we all know what happened when they did fight, because Tyson was not the same. I do think Tyson abused his body for many years. After jail, I think he came out, he was high, he was doing coke, he was doing all this stuff. He was doing it. And nobody could catch him because, he was prepared with the urine and all that. So, Kurt, Alexander Usyk versus Ike Ibeabuchi, prime for prime. I don't know. I think Ike would have knocked out Usyk. Because, you didn't have anyone like that. Ike Ibeabuchi, that poor bastard. Ike Ibeabuchi, that poor bastard. Because people don't understand how gifted he was. He was one hell of a fighter. The potential that he had he fought those dudes, he probably would have knocked them all out. He probably would have been one of the most exciting heavyweights of that era. You want to ask what happened with the Klitschko era? I can tell you why the Klitschkos were so damn successful. They didn't have Ike Ibeabuchi to worry about. Ike Ibeabuchi was that guy that was the missing link. He was the missing link in that whole saga. Okay? He probably would have got a win over Mike Tyson. He probably would have beat Lennox Lewis. And if he would have beat Lennox Lewis... If he would have he probably would have beat one of the Klitschkos, because he would have probably ended up having to fight Vitali, which would have been a war. Don King stopped people catching Mike for drugs. Buster Douglas beat Oliver McCall before he beat Tyson. Mike Tyson would take Usyk's head off. Manny Stewart took Klitschko and Lewis to the next level. Yeah, but those guys didn't have to worry about Ike Ibeabuchi, bro. Ike Ibeabuchi had all the attributes. He was strong. He was gifted. He was sound. He had the power. You know what I mean? He went 12 rounds with David Tua, and he had David Tua on Queer Street a couple times. It's just David had such a hell of a chin. He took that shot. But look, Ike was knocking people out, bro. Ike was nobody to mess with. That's why the Klitschkos, again, that's why the Klitschkos did what they did, because they did not have that guy or a fighter like Ike Ibeabuchi in that era. He was locked up already. He got committed already. He was in a loony bin by then. So they didn't have to worry about Ike Ibeabuchi. Hold on a second. Let's do this. How old was Ike Ibeabuchi when he was locked up? 2002. Ike Ibeabuchi is 52 years old. 2022, 2002 is how long? That's 23 years ago. If you take 53, this man was 30 years old. That motherfucker was in his prime. There would be no way. I know Vitaly probably would have gave him more of a fight. But I think he would have knocked out Vlad. Vlad would have been knocked out. Ike would have knocked him out. He would have beat Clifford the Black Rhino ATM. He would have beat Lamont Brewster. He knocked out Chris Bird. He beat the shit out of David Tua. Bro, he would have beaten Lennox Lewis, because there probably wouldn't have been an Ike Ibeabuchi, Lennox Lewis and a Rahman if Ike Ibeabuchi had not been committed. Even Mike was looking at Ike like, no, I think that motherfucker's kind of crazy. I'm just saying he's vicious and he's primal. I think he's a bad mother. I think he's bad. I think he's a bad mother. Exactly, Kurt. The last 25 years, there has been a no complete heavyweight. Everyone's so limited. Yeah, I mean, he's trying to fight now, bro, but good luck with that shit. You're in your 50s, dude. You pissed away all that time in prison. You know what I mean? And then, well, here's the deal. No one talks about his mental illness. Like, what the fuck was wrong with you then? What was wrong with you at 30, 28, 29 years of age? What the hell was wrong with you? That's not wrong with you now. So now you don't hear anything about mental health illness from Ike. And Ike, the shit he was doing was crazy. Ike Ibeabuchi versus George Foreman. Prime for prime.
Back in on set.
I would say Ike, man. Because the George Foreman at that time, he was sloppy. He was a sloppy fighter. I mean, he threw hard, chopping punches, but no. I just don't see him beating. You know, Ike Ibeabuchi was a dude that knew how to defend. He knew how to fight. You know what I mean? He knew how to catch and shoot. The dude fought like an old school fighter, but he was so sound. He wasn't a lazy. He didn't have those habits. If you looked at when he fought David Tua, and you looked at it, bro, Ike Ibeabuchi would have been a heavyweight champion. He probably would have had a war against someone like Samuel Peters, another Nigerian. You know, like, no. He would have probably had problems out of someone like James Toney until he caught James Toney. Because you remember James Toney was there too. Bro, no. He would have beat Holyfield because he's just bigger than Holyfield. Holyfield would have fought him, but it wouldn't have been, no, bro. They probably would have been one of the fights of the decade because Holyfield doesn't back down. And you think Holyfield sounds weird now. Wait till he got out of that fight. Kurt, what about Muhammad Ali versus Ike Ibeabuchi prime for prime? Muhammad Ali would probably be smart enough to box him from a distance. But yeah, Ike had the best physique. Bro, that dude was jacked. That motherfucker was... that dude, yeah, he was that dude. I mean, he looks good now, but he don't have the reflexes. He's old. That
Van Fort out of the loop to stages.
Look.
Copy.
No, bro. No. I mean, you know, he could... You know, if I'm Ike, bro, I would be fighting dudes like... I would fancy a fight between him and Derek Chisora. Mike Tyson. You know, that's if someone like Mike gave him an opportunity. But the thing about Ike wasn't that big yet. Meaning he wasn't that... I mean, he was known through the true boxing circles. But he wasn't known like Mike. You know? Like, we seen Ike. Ike was that guy... He was the best that never was type guy. He was that guy that like, yo, heard of Ike Ibeabuchi? And then, you know, people be like, no. So then they see him, they're like, oh my God, what happened to this guy? You know what I mean? He's almost like, to me, he's like Tony Ayala, but better. Because see, Tony Ayala got the opportunity to get some get back, but he messed it all up. He wasn't allowed to do anything. They put him in the loony bin, and then after I guess they pumped him for the drugs, and then he was okay and cleared to stand trial. Then, you know what I mean? Then he stood trial. Then they locked him up. Then he gets out. Then they lock him up again. So yeah, that was nothing. Then he gets deported. So yeah, dude, no. Ike Abuchi asked me for $1,000. Did you guys know that? This guy inboxed me because we talked for a little bit, and he was just like, "Hey, yeah, I need some money." I'm like, "Dude, I don't have $1,000 to give you." You know what I mean? Maybe a few years ago, when shit was just booming, I probably would have. But then I'm like, what would my $1,000 do for you? That's more like a donation, and like $1,000, like, is that for mortgage, motherfucker? What is that for? Dubois Duck Sanchez, Ike versus Galata. He would have knocked out Galata, but Galata was a game opponent at the time. But I don't think that I think Galata gets hurt and he just goes all to pieces. You know what I mean? Galata is more. It's like the current, like the current day AJ now. AJ gets hit, he goes to pieces. He gets hit and he gets hurt. He ain't the same dude. Galata was like that. Hell, Galata quit on you. Mike scared the shit out of Galata, man. Kurt, what about Ike versus Joe Frazier? Joe Frazier's shorter. I don't know. I don't want to say anything against. I don't want to say anything against Joe Frazier. Because I like Joe. I remember when Joe Frazier. It's crazy. Joe Frazier died of liver cancer. And I think this was like 2011, maybe. I think it was 2011. And it got to me, man. It shook me because my father is that age. When did Joe Frazier die? November 7th, 2011. Sometimes when people pass, especially when you've known, or ever since you've known, especially when someone, of course, is older than you and they pass away, kind of a hard pill to swallow. Mike versus Bona, I'm trying to break my arm. Oh, you mean Botha, yeah. Where are you right now? I'm in Texas. Sitting at a titty bar. Facts. Luca Moore is still extremely delusional when it comes to Joshua. Kurt, Larry Holmes versus Riddick Bowe. Larry Holmes. Where's the Justice for Parker fanboys at? Where's the Usyk Ducks no one fanboys at? Where's the AJ is on a mission to be third time at? I don't know. That's a good question. Hey, you guys answer the question. Or questions. Kurt, what was Ike's record before jail? He was 20-0 with 15 KOs with no losses, no draws. He had a record like that. I'm going to tell you who else had the identical record that never been beaten, but they got out of the business. Dmitry Pitrug. Dmitry Pitrug was also 20-0 with 15 KOs, no losses, no draws. But he retired because of some kind of weird, severe back injury. So something happened tragic to him because he was just too good of a fighter. He would have been one of those dudes that would have probably beat Golovkin. The only thing would have saved Golovkin is the chin, but like that dude was sweet. And he didn't even fight like those Eastern European fighters. He fought like that motherfucker fought like an American slick fighter. You know what I mean? The only thing he did European was he shifted when he threw punches to get better leverage. So he crossed his feet, people, to throw harder shots. That's how he knocked out Danny Jacobs. Bro, that was a good fight. Danny Jacobs was undefeated. Dmitry Pitrug was undefeated. 2 undefeated fighters. That dude was hell. That dude was hell on wheels, bro. Warren shouldn't give Dubois a chance to fight for another world title against Wardley. He don't deserve. It don't matter. You think deserve has anything to do with those guys getting fights? It don't deserve it. They're in the right position. They're in the right position. Before I would have said that Dubois would beat Wardley, but now that we know that Parker might have been on cocaine, and Wardley was going blow for blow with him, I don't know. I don't know either. Good question. Greetings from Amsterdam today, Kurt. Oh! Off-foot run. Okay, I think I said that right. Probably not. Do you think Dubois could have beaten the AJ from the second Usyk fight? No. I think that was a different AJ. AJ started his previous run with a clown fight versus Francis, and when he fought someone decent in Triple Knee, he didn't have it. He is doing it again with Paul. Damn it. All right, Ike ain't beating Holmes with Eddie Futch. AJ was winning the second Usyk fight after 9 rounds. That AJ beats Dubois. That was the best version of Joshua in the last prime fight of Joshua. And then he melted and folded like that. You know, I thought that was a raindrop. I'm trying to mark it off my phone. Renee Padilla, counterpunch to you, my brother. Counterpunch to you. Do you think we might get AJ versus Fury? Mm. Breaking news, people. Subrel Matias delivered an adverse analytical finding for the performance-enhancing drug Ostarine in a VADA test. Sources tell Ring Magazine. Wow. Matias' WBC junior welterweight title of defense versus Dalton Smith on January 10th is in now jeopardy. Matias has 10 days to request sampling of the B sample. So yeah, people, that shit's going around, you know. You know what I mean? Another one. Yep. These guys are juicing, bro. These guys are juicing. They are juicing, man. Ain't Subriel Matias, ain't he the killer? Didn't he unalive a guy in the ring? That's a bad look. That's a bad look. Are you doing a live on Saturday? Yes, I am doing a live on Saturday. Yes, I am. But yeah, these guys are popping dirty, bro. Better chance of getting AJ versus Wilder than Usyk because Usyk fights Fury. It is very good that the guys are getting caught for drugs. Yeah. But you know what it's time for, though? If Dubois doesn't get the Fabio fight and Fabio doesn't get the Usyk fight and Usyk does some fuckboy shit like fight Tyson Fury, it's time to move on from the heavyweight division. That's all that means. It's time to focus on light heavyweight, cruiserweight with Jaya Pataya and you know what's going on down there. Hopefully 154. So anything from 154 to 160 with Jenna Beck versus Lara, then to 168 with the current guys that are fighting there. Really, it's all about 175 now because Terrence Crawford, you know, is between 160 and 168. That's where we need to focus on right there. The heavyweight division, if they're not doing much and Joshua's fighting clown fights, getting $80 million to fight Jake Paul, then we don't and we shouldn't put too much energy. I know I'm not into talking about heavyweights that are not going to fight. Andy Ruiz is still doing the same shit. Give me the opportunity. I decided to have an important meeting with Dana White. Please, Dana, get me the AJ fight. Call Eddie. Rene Padilla Jr. coming in with that half a duh. He says, I know AJ is coming to knock out Paul because imagine the shit Carl Froch would say about AJ. How much content he would make if he were to lose to Jake Paul. Boy, you ain't never lying. Shout out to Rene Padilla Jr. in the building. Can I pin this? No, I can't pin this comment. Damn. Let me try to unpin the other one. Okay. So let me try to pin this one. Oh, I still can't do it, huh? Damn. But anyway, that's so true, bro. If Jake Paul, he would be the first one. Yeah, it's your Cobra. It's your boy Cobra. It's called the Cobra Froch. So, AJ, you know, chinless AJ, has no heart, no spine, no ability. He was just got sparked and beaten by a YouTuber. Someone I would easily beat. So if it was me, AJ couldn't even beat me. He couldn't take the punches, isn't it, hun? No, it couldn't handle the punches there, Carl. Couldn't handle the punches. Now you talk so much shit, man.
Hey, Freddy, you have someone coming towards you.
Who really would walk away from about 60 million? Listen, if he lost, damn what he did, who the hell would turn down $60 million? You know something though, if I had 60 million, I would buy a studio for Counterpunch Boxing News. I would have one in Austin, I would have one in Louisiana, and I would have one probably Barbados, DR, you know what I mean? Wherever I go regularly, that's where I would have a studio. It would be like Kurt DeVille Studios, you know what I mean? And I would have the whole setup, you know what I mean? The podcast, and I would be there, and and I would that's what I would do, do some day trading, I guess, just for shits and giggles. But you got that type of money, bro, no, that type of money, then you can do what you really want to do. I wouldn't be in this damn truck. In other words, I wouldn't be doing this. I would actually be chilling. 70 million, and the other fighters that say they wouldn't do it, they're lying. No pro fighter would turn down $70 million in an easy 2 or 3 minutes. No, they wouldn't. But Jake Paul knows I'm not going to fight just any boxer either. That's what you people don't understand. It's not about what a fighter won't take. It's about what fighter is going to be in there, who he decides to fight. Jake Paul ain't going to fight a Kurt DeVille. You know what I mean? I get Caballero even. You know what I mean? He's not going to fight nobody on that caliber. Because if he gets beat by someone on that caliber, that's just too big of a loss, because you're fighting people that no one heard of. Then, yeah, I will be more known. Man, I beat Jake Paul's ass. AJ, then he wanted to fight KD. KD showed him up too. And then, his stock will drop. But to put a cap and all that shit on it, nah. Froch tells it as it is when it comes to AJ. He released the news that Michael McCrackerson told him AJ ducked his own sparring partners. He doesn't like AJ because AJ made all that money and Carl ain't made that much money. So I think there is some, but Carl's very competitive. So I think it was like a competitive thing for him. So, is it true that Mike Tyson went to an orgy after the Buster Douglas loss? No, that's not true. The truth is he didn't go to an orgy after. He did an orgy the night before. He did coke. Him and Bobby Brown slammed a bunch of Japanese women. They all did cocaine, and they all was slamming these chicks. They were high as a kite. And then the next day, Mike went in there and got beat by Buster Douglas. That's the end of story, people. Mark my words, AJ will be 3-time heavyweight champion. Okay, Tony Lyons, 9772, counterpunch to you. Bars! Paul will need the phone number for Otto Weiland's plastic surgeon after AJ finishes him. Damn Otto Weiland's. He's going to need Carl Froch's. Paul will need the phone. Okay, I already got that one. But no, man. AJ versus Andy Ruiz could happen. It could happen. Mark my words, Juice is done, Scance Rant says. Jake said AJ is light work, and I believe him. They messed up. He beat the shit out of Josh. Josh, you just should go away. That shit would damage him. He can't come back from that. See, I was nervous in the Ngannou fight because Ngannou was the UFC guy. And then you'll have all these UFC fighters think they can go in here and chin boxers because AJ is overachieving or underachieving or whatever achieving. Where will be so many rules around this clown fight? AJ would hit the undo button on Frotch's nose. Wilder was always overrated. AJ's still the biggest power puncher in the heavyweight division. He needs to knock Paul out. Fury was just very overrated. No MMA guy will ever beat a top guy in boxing. But no, man. I think we're about to have lunch. I don't know if you guys want to have another live. I'll probably do another one. I don't know, because I've done 4 videos, so I've been pretty busy today. You know, it's going up on the 2nd hour, so you know, I'll probably grab me some food. But it was cool hanging out with you guys on my workflow. But until then, I will be back with another live. You guys, please subscribe, like, share, and everyone has been counterpunched. Help share the channel when you can and you come in, because I really want to get 100,000 subscribers. I would love to get that before December. So you guys like and share and please subscribe. And you all have been counterpunched, people. Peace.